You are welcome to the Wundef Show. Today we are in Obuasi and we are talking to one illustrious son of this golden city, Honorable John Alexander Kobina Ackon, former Deputy Minister for Chieftaincy. He was also Deputy Minister at the Gender and Social Protection, and he was also the Substantive Minister for Ashanti Region, also a former MC in Obuasi. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Charles.
Sir, you have passed through a lot and you have come out with a lot of positions which a lot of young people might also aspire to become. How did you get there?
How did I get there? It's quite interesting. I normally tell people that I'm not very ambitious because ordinarily I'll be forcing positions. But strikingly, I've come to realize that you should be ambitious to some extent.
Okay.
But then I don't force for things.
Okay.
But thank God, my life reflects the fact that wherever you are, God has seen you, and society will also see you.
Okay.
Because even for all the positions that ever came in my life, I did not go lobbying.
Okay.
I had a lot of advice to go. Hey, my friend, don't sit in Obuasi, go to Accra. People are writing applications. What I keep telling myself is that if my contribution is recognized, I'm all right. But everybody else is also a human being, like
Okay.
So if it's not me, somebody else, let it be.
Okay.
Do not rush. But
So-
thank God I was able to go through all that.
Okay, sir, let's go back to the beginning. Where were you born?
In Obuasi. Anybody who knows Obuasi, you know the center of Obuasi is called Obuasi Central.
Okay.
Close to the St. Paul's Anglican Church. That's where I was born.
Central
Obuasi.
Okay.
Of course, close to the old town hall.
Okay.
And if you like, close to the central market.
Yes.
That's the area I was born.
Oh, okay. And your education?
Yes, if you know, again, central, those times, our house numbers were in the category of O/C.
Okay.
So my house number, my mother's house number for that matter was OC390.
Oh, okay.
And I'm a Catholic. And the Catholic school was just across. If you like, I would do
St.
some
Thomas.
St. Thomas.
Yes.
I would do some 4 minutes walk, if you like, to the school. But prior to that, Obuasi had a very prominent day nursery.
Okay.
It was then called Queen Elizabeth Day Nursery. Today they call it Elite. It came 31st, and now it is Early Childhood Development Program or so.
Oh, okay. Inside the town market?
Inside the town market.
Okay.
And most of us, our mothers were in the market. So that's where it all started from. Before I entered St. Thomas Class 1. So I did all my elementary schooling in Obuasi St. Thomas Primary and Middle.
Okay.
And if you remember those times, you could do a common entrance examination at some do at Form 1, but basically it was for Form 2, Form 3s.
Okay.
And I did my Form 3, and I got admitted to Obuasi Senior Technical School. Those times we did only science. Sectech was a pure science school. In fact, the only art subjects we were doing was geography and natural art.
Okay.
The rest were all science bias.
And was it
So, yeah.
men, boys' school or mixed?
It was totally a boys' school.
school.
All the sectechs were boys' school.
Which year are you talking about?
I'm talking about I entered sectech in the year 1972.
Wow.
Yes, 72.
Okay. And you left,
In 77 to Kumasi Polytechnic.
so you spent about 5 years?
5 years.
Wow.
It was a traditional 5-year system.
Okay.
Yes.
And then from there to Kumasi?
To Kumasi, it was then Kumasi Polytechnic.
Oh, okay.
Now Kumasi Technical University.
University.
Yes, I did what was called a general course in engineering.
Okay.
And those times, if you leave Form 5 and then you enter Polytechnic, you pursue various courses, which leads you to the ultimate.
Okay.
So the first one is called General Course in Engineering.
Okay.
And those times, the examination board was by City and Girls of London Institute. Yes,
Okay.
they were conducting the examination, though under Ghana Education Service.
Okay.
So what meant that when you do the 1 year in General Course Engineering, then they will categorize you into various sectors of engineering.
Okay.
The first one, should you do very well, leads you to the university.
Okay.
It is called OTD, Ordinary Technician Diploma. You do 2 years, 1 and 2, in mechanical and electrical engineering. You can also do what you call the MET, Mechanical Engineering Technician,
Okay.
and that takes you to the technician class, or Electrical Engineering Technician, and then Motor Vehicle Technician. So that one, that line will let you do technician courses, technician 1, technician 2, and then you go to work and come back to do technician 3.
So the course you were doing,
Mechanical engineering.
when you finish, okay, you were doing mechanical
Engineering, yes.
Oh, okay.
And that took me to the university.
The university. Which
Yes.
university?
KNUST.
KNUST.
Yes,
Which
I was. We left in '84.
How many years did you spend at the university?
Almost
4 years?
yes.
4 years.
About 3 years.
About 3 years, okay. You left in 84.
84. After the almighty demonstration where the university had a clash with workers of AngloGold Ashanti, then AGC during the revolutionary time. There was a big invasion on campus by workers of then AGC.
So that was Rollins' time?
Rollins' time, and the university was closed for 1 year.
UST?
Yes.
From 80...
It was 1 year. I think it was. It happened around 83.
83
So
and 84.
it reopened in 84.
Oh, okay. And why did they close the university? Because if it was a demonstration...
Actually, what happened was that, the revolutionary times, and suggestively it was that the students were resistant some portions of the revolution at a particular stage. And because necessarily it was for workers, the workers felt peeved. Why? So they invaded the campus. But eventually, some of the students also did the reorganization of their front, and they faced them, cornered the workers.
Workers were from where?
Obuasi.
And they went to Kumasi?
Yes. In their Zion trains and the buses.
A whole demonstration from Obuasi to Kumasi?
Yes. Big time invasion on campus.
So the students didn't agree and they decided that we fight back?
They'll fight back. And it was a sight to behold.
Wow.
So that caused a huge demonstration on campus.
Did people lose their lives?
There were no lives lost, but I tell you what, some of the people I knew in Obuasi, they could not find their way back to Obuasi. Some got missing along the line. It took some of the few days to get back to Obuasi.
Wow.
Some were saved by other people. Some were beaten. It was a clash which caused the closure of the university for almost 1 year.
So the university was closed. What about the mine?
No, the mine kept working. That's a private entity. You cannot decide not to let the mine work.
Demonstration?
Yes. They came back to Obuasi.
They continued their lives as if nothing happened?
Well, those who were hospitalized. Those who got injured took their injuries. But the mine kept working.
So people didn't lose their jobs because of the demonstration?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. So after university?
Yes, after university, I did my national service at the then Achimota Brewery Limited. Now it is part of the stock of Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited.
Okay.
That was 1984. 84. I think I started around October.
Okay.
84. And those times you were going to do 2-year national service. It was 2 years.
Compulsory 2 years?
Yeah, compulsory 2 years. There was a break, and then they had to add to, for some few years, we did it for 2 years.
Okay, so it wasn't always, but for some few years?
Yes, for some few years, to close the gap.
Okay.
2 years national service.
And where was it located?
In Achimota, in Accra.
It was in Achimota.
It is the current Guinness Ghana Brewery headquarters in Achimota, Accra.
And what was your
And it
role?
came from the Siam Group Tata Brewery.
Okay.
Yes, and when government took over, it changed its name. Eventually, it became Achimota Brewery. And they were producing the ABC beer and Bubra.
Okay.
And they first introduced the malts. So I was engineer at that factory. Yes.
Mechanical engineer.
Mechanical. If I was in charge of, but the service took me to various stages of engineering in the factory.
Okay.
In fact, there are basically 3 components of the engineering side. You have what is called the brewery house. The brewery house, which deals with starting the whole process.
Okay.
I mean, from the inventory side, if you take the stock, that's why it goes to start. When they mill the malts, add those additives of sugar, and then hops, other additions, that's where it starts.
Okay.
Before it is introduced into the brewery house. So we work a lot of engineering items in the brewery house. Then to go to the cold room, that also exposed me to refrigeration systems, because you need to preserve through application of temperature and control of temperature.
So all these things you learned at the brewery, did you ever have to practice them?
Yes.
Because you were a mechanical engineer.
Yes.
When you were sent there.
Yes.
When was that?
Remember, I went there for national service.
Okay.
So part of my training came from there.
Okay.
But prior to that, I had done some 1-year attachment with AGA.
Okay.
And that one took me to underground services, power station, mill at then PTP, Popular Treatment Plant. So I've had various exposures.
Okay.
And the one that went there, it continued with the exposure. Like I told you, the brewery plant will be there. But the cold room and other sections are controlled by a big section, which is called the engine room. Because they control the temperature using compressors, refrigeration compressors. So we were also in charge there. And then eventually, the bottling plant. The bottling plant, you go through various stages. I mean, the washing, the machine that washes the bottles, the one who sorts out the good ones, and eventually the filler, which fills the bottles, and then it goes through what you call the pasteurizer to give it a shelf life. And then it is introduced into a conveyor for final packaging. Yes, for final packaging. So that whole process was there.
Let me understand this. You went there as a mechanical engineer.
Yes.
What was your actual role there?
Your role is to keep and maintain the machinery that handles the whole beer process.
So it's because of that you had the chance to look at how the machines work.
Exactly, because you need to understand the working structure of the machines. Because one, you do two basic things. You do what is called maintenance. Maintenance means is that you schedule a program that at a particular time, machines will not be working. Management will know that there's a day you have to do maintenance. There are times too, there are unforeseen situations like breakdowns and you need to react. It's a factory. And every 1 minute wasted is money. So you need to learn to be able to troubleshoot and provide the solution and let it work so that the equipment will keep working and the production will keep going. And that's where we worked.
You are still watching the Wundef show and we are here with Honorable John Alexander Kobina Ackon, former MC of Obuasi, former Minister of State, and we are discussing about his life, his beginning, life in Obuasi, from there to KUST, to the Achimota breweries. Honorable, after national service 2 years, you searched for your first job?
Yes, I was employed straight away after national service.
At where? At
the same factory, Achimota Brewery. And then stationed in the engine room as the engineer in charge.
Wow. How difficult was it to get a job during that time?
To be very honest with you, it wasn't difficult for me because the factory had vacancy. And our method engineers, we all gathered at the workshop, exchange ideas, then we go to our various areas. One of them was also in charge of the workshop proper. So that when we have to do any fabrication, that we're pulling manpower from there to support us in delivering on our mandate. Those times, because the production fault, if a compressor should break down, you can't leave and go home. You have to sit in and make sure it is repaired so that the next morning production will start. Because immediately management come, what it looks at is what's the production level. If you know strategic planning, they have planned, they know their production per day. And that's the shit they want to look at. That's their interest. All your excuses mean nothing. Because it's a failure if you're unable to get the production working. Whenever you delay a plan for 1 hour, it's money. And that's what we're doing.
So how many
So
years?
it was not difficult. There were 5 of us. There were 5 of us who were doing national service there. 4 of us got employed. The other one left for the United States.
So
in fact, 2 left for United States. And the 3 of us were employed. Yes.
So how many years did you work there?
I worked there from, if I should add 1984 for national service. And then subsequently after 2 years, 86, I started full-time work there. And then left there in 1992. So you'll be talking about 8 years. Am I right? 8 years. 84 to 92. Yes.
Were you married?
8 years. No, I wasn't married.
Even at the time you were leaving the job, you were not still married?
No, I wasn't married. I wasn't married.
Was there no pressure on you to marry at that time?
No, you say at the time I was leaving the job. Oh, pressure, no. No. I had my first child in 1986.
You were not married?
Yes.
I guess you got a better offer because you were at Achimota.
In actual fact, it was very interesting. Strikingly, the person who was then the managing director of Achimota Brewery was an Obuasi person. He's now a chief around the Suta area, but the family relations are still in Obuasi. He was called Mr. Edu Jemfi. Akwesi Edu Jemfi. And Sam Jonah had then come to Accra as the deputy managing director. The head office of then AGC was at Diamond House.
Okay.
And there was a managing director, and Samjona was the deputy. And he and Akwesi Jemfi had been friends since childhood.
Okay.
And I knew all of them because my family, their family, and Samjona's family, we are all family friends. So any evening Samjona comes around, if Kwesi has not closed, I was chat with him throughout the whole time until the big man closes, because I've known him for too long.
Okay.
So what happened? He knew I was there. Sam knew and I was there.
Okay.
So eventually, the brewery was changing hands. The first group to have come around were Germans. Then I realized that people started undermining others because the Germans had come in and people were struggling to be re-engaged. I remember they said something which has been printed in my mind for a long time. The first managing director who came, he called our then, he was talking to various management members. So he called our then production manager and asked him for how many years he has been on the seat and has worked with the brewery.
Okay.
And at that time, it was like 19, 20 years. And the next question he shot at him was, have you sacked anybody before? The man said no. They said there cannot be a good production manager.
Wow.
You
That was the end of
couldn't,
it.
yes, you couldn't work in the brewery
And
for
also-
19 years. Human behavior, boys adventure, stealing of beer, both on plant and outside plant. No, sir, you cannot be a good production manager. So they changed him. But that was good because
Was he sacked or he was...
no, he was not sacked.
Okay.
He was taken off. The man was a good brewer,
Okay.
but they were thinking about your managerial acumen
Okay.
in that contest. And that's why they told us, I did inquiry as to why. But they said that no, in Germany there's something called open-ended salary scheme. Now what it meant was that if this man knows how to brew very well, he's a brewer. But if you look at his composure, he cannot control people. Don't give him a managerial position.
Okay.
Let him be there. Get somebody with that acumen to be the manager. But then he may be receiving more than you are receiving. So you should do the assessments of individuals' values.
So it could be manager but receiving lesser than
In the German system, lesser than somebody who is there. And I experienced it, and I've experienced that over a period of time.
Okay.
There was a guy who was a very good worker in our brewery plant, that is the bottling plant. Everybody knew him in the plant, very hard worker, he could pack bottles like something.
Okay.
So we all helped him, recommending for him to be elevated. Then immediately he got elevated, we realized that something had gone amiss. But you go and find him less than just walking about, not knowing exactly what you should do as a supervisor. After you see me sleeping off or relaxing somewhere, then realize that in trying to assess people, you should look beyond technical ability to leadership and managerial ability, so that you don't just promote as if it's an autopilot system. You promote based on what today they call SKA, skill, knowledge, and ability.
Okay.
All of us could get education all right, and there are so many people in this world who are lettered, PhDs and things like that. But when it comes to skill, knowledge, and ability, they may fall short.
And do you think such a system could help our country? If
It is the best, because when you use skill sets, it is what delivers you the mandate.
But can we use it in our country?
Most of the companies, the private
That's
entities,
private ones.
they use it. They use it. Remember the civil service got choked, and we are not solving it because at a point, somebody will go and get a degree and say, now a PhD, and they will find a way to create a position based on your qualification. It is not there anyway.
Okay.
You should have the structure, and you should fit in. So it doesn't matter if someone has a first degree, you have a PhD. If you fit in the structure, you should be put there. And if you put there, you should not take higher than the other person based on your certificate. No.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Let's fast forward again.
Okay.
You're talking about Samjona being
Yes.
Accra.
So when it was changing over, others were backbiting and other things. So one of the white guy who came as an engineer even called him and said, oh, if there's any information, I should try and tell him so that we shall all work together. Then I decided not to work in the company again. And likely I've told you I had that close affinity with Samjona. So I just picked the telephone and called and said, as for you, you don't want to go to Obuasi, otherwise it is there. So come straight to the office. I went to Diamond House. At that time, Ashgood, then Goldfields, wanted to be the Accra rep.
They wanted you to be the
yes.
Accra rep. Okay.
But so I went to Gold House, and then it was then Market Thompson who came, the late Market Thompson. But I told them that I'm coming to Obuasi. So there I told Sam, and then he directed me that I should come to Obuasi to be interviewed.
Okay.
So I came to Obuasi and I was interviewed by two people. One was called Bob Baudry, a white man. He was then the project management and project manager.
Okay.
And then the late Chumbaruma, who was the HR manager.
Okay.
Yeah, it was under the GM HR, but I was the HR manager then.
Okay.
And then they interviewed me. And then eventually I got the appointment to work with the mine in 1992, July. As I started with what is called a maintenance planner,
okay,
in an area called Plant Maintenance Management System.
Okay.
What it meant was that you could get a big factory. If you go to the mine specifically, the mine has a lot of equipment.
Okay.
If you look at underground equipment, as of that time, drill machine, wagoners, which is the scoop tram, dump trucks. At that time when I was there, one was going for about $840,000.
Okay.
And this man could do for about 50 of them. Wow. Now I know he's going to more than $2 million. Now, you go to buy equipment for $2 million, $1 million. You bought it because it should deliver a particular job. How do you know whether that equipment is giving you that job? So our job in maintenance management was to look at the life of the machine.
Okay.
And then plan what's called maintenance schedule for the machine till we dispose of it.
Okay.
But having done that, when you plan a maintenance schedule, it will give you what we call in maintenance management terms as availability.
Okay.
When you say availability, it implies that you have made the equipment available to be used for production. So we calculate for every 24 hours. And then for a month, what availability you produced from the engineers. So we calculated and got a percentage availability required.
How many people were in your department then?
My department was not huge. It was a management side of engineering.
Okay.
But the workers were in the front.
Okay.
So we're not many. But we're taking information from them. We had the staff.
Okay.
They will fill and bring the cars, and then we had a system which I input that one.
Okay.
So you give a target to the person, engineers, and the target we take it from the card we give you. How many stoppages did you get over the period?
So you were a manager then?
I don't know what to call a manager. Manager is just a title.
Yes.
So I came in as what you call a maintenance planner.
Okay.
Maintenance planner.
That means you were supervising.
Yes.
Okay.
But I left when I was leaving the mine, I was a plant maintenance superintendent in charge of mine-wide maintenance management.
After how many years?
After 15 years, 15 plus years.
Was it when you were about to contest that you?
Yes, that's also an interesting story.
You get there. You get there.
Yes,
So,
I left when I was about to contest, but before I could contest, there are interesting stories that came along.
Okay, you get there. You are still watching the Wundef show, and we are in Obuasi with Honorable John Alexander Kobina Ackon, former MC of Obuasi and a former Minister of State. Honorable, before we get into politics, I know you have been in the media for a while. You were hosting a program on Shaft FM.
Ghana this week.
It was on Sundays.
You know, I told you earlier I was going to be the Goldfish rep in Accra.
Okay.
And I have followed football like from infancy.
Okay.
And I'm a staunch supporter of AngloGold. Yes. Even in school times, I was traveling with the team. Okay. In '84, when they played Kotoko in the FA Cup finals, I was in camp with the team. Okay. So I've had a close relation with management and most of the players that time.
Okay.
So eventually when I came, I joined the team supporters front.
Okay.
When I joined the supporters front, I got appointed as a management member. The then chairman was the project manager, Harry Waddle.
Okay.
So I joined the management team as a rep of supporters.
Okay.
So through that means when Sam Jonah decided to take over and structure AngloGold with the board, and that was some of the interesting times. When SAP came and wanted to restructure, we took a lot of advice. We first look at the board, who should constitute the board. So what the advice we did around was to get ownership. Sam was going to be the chairman, and he was the chairman.
Okay.
And then the vice chairman was the then MD of Graphic Corporation, and Adansi.
Okay.
Current chief of staff to for Mr. Kofi Bedu.
All right.
And a known sports person, sports writer, with huge knowledge of sports history from Nkrumah days to now, was a vice chairman.
Okay.
And the senior staff had a representative, junior staff had a representative, supported had 2 representatives, Mr. Tony Wood, who was the chairman, and myself. Adansi Traditional Council had a representative, so it was quite very good. And then we started also looking at the management,
Okay.
and then 2 people came to view as a recommendation.
Okay.
Then Sam Ochre, remember we named part of the academy after Sam Ochre Hostel. And then Kojonunu. So we almost took the 2 of them. But Kofi Bedu, with his vast knowledge, said, no, there are 2 captains in one ship. It may sink. They are all knowledgeable, almost equal. So we forgot about Kofi and took Sam Ochre.
Okay.
And we had a nice relationship. That's why when Sam Ochre left, in particular, he died, we went straight for Kojonunu to take over. So that's why we structured the team.
Okay.
And Gaston Kesi, who was the financial controller, became an executive director of the team. What it meant was that you could not dispense with any monies for the team by the executive without recourse to the financial director.
Okay.
And then I became in charge of public relations and press
At the time,
for
you were
Osh
still
Good.
working
Yes, I was still
at
working.
AG.
Yes.
Okay.
In charge of the press and more like the PRO for the team at the board level.
Okay.
So I started appearing as a panelist.
And the morning shows, the sports shows.
Sports shows.
Okay.
Sports shows. So we started from top there when Shaft was at the government hill. And eventually we came down. So that's where it all started.
Oh, okay.
So people came to know me better through the sports representation. Then eventually, remember the late Samuel Enin was hosting some of these programs, politics. As an NDC person, I also ventured into that area to represent my party.
Oh, okay.
So earlier on, it was social issues, then eventually political issues, then eventually, when I had exhibited that level of knowledge, Samuel Enin has also left to Kumasi.
Okay. So you took
So it was like taking over, but we had changed the structure,
Okay.
both in time and content, and brought it to Sunday
After.
to get not political, it could be political, but general, for Sunday relaxation
Okay.
of people on the mine and Obuasi.
Okay.
People, knowledge-based area, broad discussion, unbiased situation. So I started hosting the program. And then we had JFK Adai, Sabrega, Richard Elima. We mentored few of them, Dodovi, few of them who worked Daily Guide and other people who were coming to medical courts. Richard Elima was lecturing some of them in Kumasi and were bringing them under my program. And it became so popular.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, it became so popular.
I think that was the program I got to know him.
Yes. I met a lawyer recently, and immediately in a chamber in Kumasi, immediately said, well, I know you're a lawyer. I did my service at AG. I was at printing press.
Okay.
But I was listening to you every Sunday. Every Sunday, I didn't miss your program. It was interesting because it was unbiased. It was totally the press issues, and then we just dissect the issues and bring it to bear, what it meant, and the interest level, more particularly for the top and the middle level manpower, was huge. So it became so popular.
Do you think the program prepared you well for your political life?
It added. It added. But I had some other interesting additions.
Okay.
You know, at a point, as plant maintenance person, I was working with transport. We established a plant maintenance session at AGA Transport.
Okay.
At a point, when people left, I was acting as a transport. You know, there were 2 sessions, the engineering session and the operations session. So I'll go and take over from AB Mills or Sowa. Mr. Sowa left, and then who was the person in charge from engineering, I would take over from there. And I was too much of Obuasi person. And those times, when I went to eventually became what is called the transport operations superintendent, they put all the production trucks, because from plant maintenance perspective, those times, when they say Obuasi Mine, we had Obuasi Mine. And Obuasi Mine alone, all vehicles put together, light vehicles and heavy duty, I could count about 400.
Wow.
And I knew for the light vehicles, I need their numbers by heart.
Interesting.
So when I went there to take over, eventually they divided into administration, which will handle the light vehicle area, the shuttle and the light vehicles, and put me in charge of production equipment. Dozers, graders, payloaders, excavators, dump trucks, Astra, Ivico, and the like, which are production-related machines. And I remember when I was there, I started looking at the workers, their backgrounds, and I realized that they are driving production equipment. And one of them struck me. It was called the Drusu. Those times, anybody who saw a mine dozer working at the refuse dump site around Hasuyodia would have seen a particular man always working there. And I've not forgotten, when I look at his number, it was F1682. When somebody is F, it implies that he worked for a long time on the mine. I look at his category, and it was what is called 111. In the mine, when you start as a laborer, you are 111 category. As you go to junior staff, or as they promote, you become 112. Then when you go to junior staff, you become 114. So I said, no, I don't understand. And so I started looking at all their cars. And I realized that as compared to those who are driving managers and sitting in air-conditioned vehicles, they were not being looked at properly. So I wrote a letter. Then my general manager engineer was called Justice Elema. Of course, Kojo's uncle. And then the late Mr. Yakra was the general manager human resources. So I decided to do what was right. I wrote a letter to the general manager human resources and copied my general manager engineering, Justice Elema, and said that this is my observation. This category of people are equipment operators. So they do driving, they do equipment operation, and they are loading all over the place to the plant, excavator, cranes, and things like that. I think it's highly unfair to let them even start from labor because they are skilled people. And I think I want to recommend that if it is so agreed, they should start minimum 112, which was the top elevation on labor. And then in the short time, we should classify them. So I had a response very faithfully from the general manager engineer and said, I agree with you. Go ahead and implement it. So I changed most of them. Those who should go to foreman, I did that. Those who should, so everybody was elevated. Minimum 112. They were very happy.
Were they aware you fought?
Oh yeah, they are very much aware. They are very much aware. And then we caused them to install equipment, what we call walkie-talkie, communication equipment in all the production vehicles, and created a base station at the traffic section there. And then they came and trained us from the ICT department. And the main person who trained them was using the normal jargon. Roger, Jack, our base was called the Kilo. So I was Kilo 1. The person in charge was Kilo 1. My assistants were Kilo 2. We started the late after the late Che, 2 and 3. And the base station was Kilo. So they trained them with all the jargons, all that. And I realized that in employing the operators, the prerequisites did not include English proficiency.
So most of them...
So they could not express themselves. Meanwhile, they are in production freedom. We're doing 24-hour service. I was sleeping with my gadgets. So immediately, I did not seek any permission and said, we are going to speak Twi. I did a meeting, after his communications and language, speak Twi. And that was wonderful. You'll be at home, the former will be on duty, and somebody will call former Medu. Bobana sa okay, so young so be uncle GCS. That was the spirit. So everybody became clear and open and were communicating, we were achieving the results. And I was doing so many things. I would let them work. If the load goes down, particularly weekend, those time estate, the road had not been done from the front of Hostel Park. I would let them go and put some waste material there and get the crane to go and work. I realized that cars could not accept Kukutusia. There was an assemblyman there because I also went to the assembly as a government appointee. And then I went and did some job there so that at least cars could go there. So I make sure cars could go there.
How did you go there as a government appointee?
When they had what is called law PNDC law 207, which finally became at 462 local government acts. So when they did that in the composition of the assembly, they are the electoral area representative, and the 30% should also come from appointment of stakeholdership, which is still being done. And then AGA was a major stakeholder. So yes. Normally what they do is that if you know somebody who has the pedigree to help you, you recommend to AGA. So Kwame J, who was then the DC, who wrote to AGA that they want to present the interest of the company. The company agreed. And then I became a member. So I made sure it was done. At Darcy, cars could not go there because could not cross the road. I had a pipe all by myself, a waste pipe, took it there, let an operator stay there for 1 week and level the place for cars to go there.
You were doing all these interesting things as you were a worker at
Yes. That's why I have a lot of communities I worked with very well. So when I became an MCA, it reflected.
So why did you leave AGA?
Very interesting. I'm a strong NDC person, very committed. When I started appearing, I was appearing in radio stations in Kumasi. Remember, I've done programs with Kojo Banredu. I've done quite a lot of people. Those times, Capital was the strongest one. I've done with Angel FM. Which station? I could close from work, go and do evening program at Kesben,
and then
come back and go to work in the morning. And at times when I'm free Saturdays, I will go and appear on Saturday program. I've done with I remember when they were introducing the talk time tax. It was a big argument. And if you ask Kwesi Jemfi, Honorable Kwesi Jemfi of Jaco, he will tell you. I was appearing in Kesben for discussion. And then I realized that the person who came is called Honorable Apareansa, is the current Suhum MP. He was still an MP then. Not knowing that, Kwesi Jemfi had told him that the guy appearing on the program, you have to go yourself. Apare was championing the cause. So I started telling him to be power. And I did with Kojo Banredu. That time, Kwatin was a spokesperson or something. He went and told me, Michelle Obuasi Mine, So I had that length of relationship. Unfortunately, it also became my Achilles heel as far as the job was concerned. It's not very interesting because at a point, I started going through a lot of problems.
With the mine?
With the mine. The exact person I don't know. And it started in 1999 when the strike action came. I had gone on vacation in Canada. So and then I came to my brother in US for some time before I finally went back and came to. I spent about 3 months. Those times, if you worked in underground session, they give you 1 year leave of 50 days. So if I take 2 years, I get 100 days. So I can confidently do 3 months and get some 2 weeks to come and rest before I resumed work. Unfortunately, I did not see one of the strike. I had traveled outside the country. I did not see how it happened. You remember the one involving Auntie and all that. But when they were compiling names of those who caused the strike, my name was in there.
But you were not even in Ghana?
I swear to God, I was not there. And then I realized the other side of politics. So the big man himself taught me my name was submitted to him. And I said, sir, how can I cause it? What do I need strike for? I even don't do such things. But you don't disturb me when I'm also in my area of operation. I don't get intimidated. But I also not extend it to the work. Because even at AGA, beyond plant maintenance, I was also lecturing maintenance management at the management training school. And I don't relate on that matter. I make sure I mark where I should go. But normally when you make effects, people also have their own judgment of you, very unfortunately.
Okay.
And it took a toll out of me. It was very bad.
So what happened after they submitted your name?
Well, it became a rumor that I'd been put on redundancy. So eventually, at traffic, my immediate staff, it took a time. People would come to my office. What's that? Baby here. And it was becoming too much. So eventually, I think they met among themselves. Some of them are still around here.
So they wanted you to go or what?
Yes, all those, incidentally, I'm told those who were taken off were all NDC people.
Oh, okay.
Because I knew of Apia Kubi, he's now in New York. Apia Brenya, I'd not met him politically before. PO is dead. And about 6 of them, people say they are related, they were NDC people. PO died very tragically after he had been taken off. So among those who were going to go, my name was there.
So they placed you on redundancy?
No, they didn't. The big man did not trust that I was going to do that. Samjona had known me for too long.
Okay.
And he know I'm not in that class of business.
So Samjona was GM?
He was MD.
MD
Yes,
then.
yes, the later chief executive.
Okay.
Yes. If he had agreed, I would have gone. But I say he doesn't believe so.
So why did you go?
Why did I go? It did not end there. Those who after me did not sleep. I got a transfer I could not comprehend. And I was a superintendent in charge of transport operations. Then I got transferred to a non-existent entity that I should go and create it.
You were going to create a whole new...
Yes. And it was called a recovery. So I became a recovery superintendent. They gave me a staff of 5 and a truck. That anybody who wants to scrap anything from any department, they should bring it to recovery. And if I can recover items which are reusable in some other department on the mine, I should recover that one. And gave me a staff of 5. That's the job I was doing.
And you think it was some sort of demotion?
Well, I was taking my salary, but it was demotion. It was to frustrate me. But, hey, I will not allow you to frustrate me. I would take it in my strides and go. So I was normal.
That was 99.
Yes. When I came back, 99 going. After 99, I think it's 2000 thereabout going.
Okay.
2001, 5 thereabout. It did not end there, my brother. Even there, it was in current transport yard that, hey, those that main proc had left, and that was the bigger yard we were in. Again, after about 2 years or so, they said they are transferring me again. And that was the nicest story you want to hear. I was called, they said I should go and see the then general manager engineer. He was called Roderick.
Okay.
I went and saw him, but his first statement was that, I don't know you from Adam. As I said, I don't know. They said I should come and see you. I said, yes, I don't know you.
And you didn't know why they asked you to come in?
That is the portrayal I got. So he says, go and come. I went and came back the next day, and then he said, go and bring your CV. I'm so saying, I'm not applying for work. I'm already in the work. HR has everything, so I still need to know you. By that time, in the category of AGA, apart from top management, direct management, they had the general manager of the department. So if it's engineering, you have general manager engineering. On the general manager, you're going to have engineering managers.
Okay.
On the engineering managers, you have engineering superintendents. And you have senior supervisors and then supervisors before you come to junior staff category.
Okay.
And it's all in various categories of importance in terms of structure. So I went and brought my CV to Roderick. He looked at us, oh, so you are just like the engineering managers.
That's a question he asked.
Yes, but I was even a superintendent.
Okay.
So that was a good story. So I thought now, oh, so if you know that it implies that I need to be promoted. I thought I was right. So go and come in the afternoon. When I went in the afternoon, so I should wait for him. Immediately he had a meeting with the engineering training officer. He was a superintendent. It was a Joseph Aponsa. I said I should go with him. What for? I'm going to do examination. Yes, I was going to do examination.
Examination for what?
I beg to God, I wish I can understand that apart from assessing my CV, having worked for those years and knowing me.
And you yourself teaching at
Yes,
engineering school.
yes. He wants to know me better.
Okay.
So I said, I want to see the end of this one. So they brought engineering process materials. They brought a paper called Graduate Entry Examination, which to me was very interesting because if you give to a fresh graduate, you cannot do that paper. When they ask you about water treatment, what are you going to say? When they ask you water treatment, what is TDS, TSS, total dissolved substances, total solid substances? If you have not been there for, there's no way you know it.
Okay.
How do you track transport ore? How do you get it to the plants? What is pH in water?
Are these things not something you were doing already?
Well, directly I was not doing that, but I've been deferred. So I'm exposed slightly. And if you are not, it is not your fault. You can bring the best engineer. He has not worked on the water plant. He will not know.
Never know. Okay.
Unless he goes there to work there, he will grasp everything very easily. How to do all those examinations. So I thought I'd done 2 papers. So I should go. They say I've not finished. I have to do diesel engineering. 3rd paper.
Was it something you were also into?
Yeah, diesel engineering is part of engineering that deals with diesel plants. If you have a diesel car, it's powered by the engine as the prime mover.
And were you exposed to such?
I had a fair exposure.
Okay.
Remember, I'd worked at transport before,
Okay.
in charge of prime maintenance.
Okay.
So I have a fair exposure, God willing, grace of God. So I did examination. I thought I had finished. There was a 4th paper.
The same day?
I think it's 2 days. Hydraulics.
So you're just going to work to write exams and go back home?
Well, I don't. Yes, I was for those few days within 1 week. I was just going to write examination. I was working on the mine already. Can you see how frustration it can be?
I understand.
But I said I would sit at the bottom of it. What I did was after doing the 4th paper, then I went to see the General Manager Human Resources, Mrs. Ellen Kwame.
That time was Sam Juna still at the mine?
Yes, Sam Juna was still in Accra.
Did you inform him?
No, I decided not to get him, but we are too close. I don't want to disturb him with a lot of these issues.
Okay.
Because at heart, I'm not offending anybody for that sort of thing. So, Madam, sorry, these things are going, are you aware? And she was going on leave. I said, Madam, I'm not saying, I'm saying, are you? I realized she was not coming straight. Oh, go to Justice Sapon, he will be in charge.
That means she was aware.
Yeah, to some extent, I knew she had an idea of what was happening. So I went to Justice Sapon. So when I finished, Dan already was the managing director. Some of the chief executive officer. So I sought permission to go and see Dan already, who was the managing director. And then he allowed me. He also been my head of department before.
Okay.
General manager engineer, in charge of plant maintenance. So before I could get to, he gave me 1:30 in the afternoon. Before I could go there, I could get there, and Roderick was with him.
Okay.
I'd not really gone to see him to talk about my issue.
Okay.
So eventually when I went there, it was like everything was known. All that he said was that, well, he has also been frustrated in time, but take heart and go and work. So I had to go
and do the exams or work?
Oh, I finished doing the examination.
Doing the examination, okay.
I wanted to get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
So he said, well, that's how the mine is at times. So I took him and then went and worked. So they took me to underground. Eventually, they reduced my rank. And you know what? A friend heard the argument somewhere in the HR offices that one person was against that thing and it became an argument. So that's why he even heard things were going. He came and told me. I went and heard this discussion. And somebody was, I will not mention names, but what they want to do is that they want to reduce your rank by maintaining your salary. Strikingly, when I went back to a Roderick, he told him the same thing, that I don't have vacancy. Then I said, if you don't have vacancy, I did not come to you. They brought me to you. Tell those who brought me that there's no vacancy. Why did you make me do the examination?
There's no vacancy where?
I'm underground engineer. So in my position as a superintendent.
At the department you were?
In the position of a superintendent.
There's no more vacancy there.
So they have to reduce my rank.
But maintain your salary.
Maintain my salary. So I said I was going to HR. Before I went to Sapon's place, Sapon, who was also at the HR manager, called him and said, the man is annoyed, he's coming to you. I was sitting right there.
Okay, so you called him while you were still in the office? Okay.
So eventually, I left them and went. So for about some weeks, no message.
From anyone?
Yes. Until I was called by 2 HR people. One of them is Mr. Carr, John Carr. He knows it very well.
Okay.
If you ask him, he will tell you. And the same Justice Sapon who lives just around here. And they said, they have done the establishment and they have put me in that vacancy of a reduced position from superintendent. And they want to find out if I will do it. I said, I'm going to think of it. I just slept over it overnight. And then they called and said that they want to finish the paper, the process. I said, I will do it. So I did it. And that took me to GCS, and I ended up at SARS Shaft.
The conversation is getting interesting. You are still watching the Wundef show, and we are here with Honorable John Alexander Kobina Ackon, former Minister of State and former MC of Obuasi.
So how did I live? Strikingly, I was there and Mr. Hussein Abugri Fuzi was in charge of plant maintenance as superintendent. He had left the department to HR to be the manager there, and the vacancy was there.
Okay.
So some of the people I work with in plant maintenance called and said, you are the person who knows everything, so apply. I had not even heard that there's an internal advert.
Okay.
So I applied. And eventually they did the interview. All the engineer managers were there, the support HR was there, and then they chose me. So I thought of plant maintenance, and I was going to end up with farm maintenance. But you know one striking thing? After they chose me, somebody went and told the general manager engineer, Roderick, that he has a better person than me.
After you have been appointed?
After they had chosen me, the letter has not come. After they had chosen me, the letter had not come. So I was there, they called me that Roderick wants to do another interview between the two people. So I went. He was there with the HR, just up on. They invited me. The other guy was standing. But thank God, before 10 minutes, they said the other guy should come in. Just want you to rather work and understudy this man.
They want
the guy
to work and understudy you?
Yes.
Okay.
So that settled the issue after the second interview. You can't believe that. But it ended me back to plant maintenance where I started.
Okay.
And then I was restored for the same position this time as the superintendent in charge of plant maintenance. But what I want to drive to you is that when you purpose to achieve something in your life, don't allow yourself to be frustrated by anybody. Let it be your personal decision to either move or stay. But don't be forced to go out. Go when you should go. Convinced of the move you want to take. So I'm saying that I came back to the same seat as the plant maintenance superintendent.
Do you have bad blood with the mine?
No, I don't carry such blood. And I'll tell you a story about that one.
Okay. We are here with Honorable John Alexander Kobina Ackon, former Minister of State and former MC of Obuasi. Let's go for a short commercial break. We'll be back soon.